All right, today we've got a fascinating little murder mystery for you. And the whole thing, it all comes down to a single simple sentence. This one's a real logic puzzle. Think you can figure out who's lying? Well, let's see. So, here's the deal. I'm going to lay out all the facts, exactly as the police saw them. Your mission is to find the lie in the story before I give it all away. You ready to put on your detective hat? Okay, let's set the scene. You know, every great mystery needs the perfect atmosphere. And in this story, the darkness, well, it's not just part of the setting. It's actually a crucial piece of the puzzle. Picture this, a sprawling old mansion way out in the middle of nowhere. Then, all of a sudden, bam, the power cuts out. The entire house is thrown into complete pitch black darkness. You can just imagine the silence that follows. And who's inside? Just two people, a rich guy named Sammer and his personal servant. That's it. They are totally alone, miles from anyone else. We're talking complete and utter isolation here. So, the stage is set. Let's dig into the first clues that start to surface. Remember, this is exactly what the investigator was working with. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay, the timeline here is super important. First, the power goes out sometime in the early evening. Then, at exactly 9 p.m., a scream cuts through the night. The neighbors hear it, call the police, and they get there pretty quickly. When the police get inside, they find Sammer. He's dead in his office. And the place is a mess. There's an open window, papers are thrown all over the floor. Definitely looks like there was some kind of struggle. Now, since there's only one other person in the entire mansion, all eyes immediately turn to the servant. And what he says next? Well, this becomes the single most important piece of information for the whole case. The servant's story seems pretty straightforward. He says, I was in the kitchen, just preparing dinner. When I heard the scream, I immediately ran to the office. I mean, sounds believable, doesn't it? But there's one person there who isn't convinced. Not at all. The lead detective hears that alibi and just stops. Something clicks in his head. He knows something is fundamentally, logically impossible about what the servant just said. So the detective walks right up to the servant, looks him dead in the eye, and says, "You're lying, and you're my prime suspect." Think about that. No DNA, no fingerprints, no confession needed. The servant's own words were all it took. All right, so this is it. This is the big question for you. Putting it all together, the power outage, the crime scene, and the servant's alibi, how did the investigator know? What was the one tiny detail that blew the servant's whole story apart? Okay, you ready for the big reveal? The answer wasn't hidden in some secret clue. It was right there, in the contradiction between what the servant said and the single, undeniable fact about that night, a fact we've already talked about. This is where the detective's genius really shines. Let's break it down. Fact number 1, the power was out. The entire mansion was dark. Fact number 2, the servant's claim. I was preparing dinner. But wait a minute, how? How could he possibly be preparing dinner with no electricity? No lights to see, no electric stove, no microwave, no modern kitchen appliances whatsoever. He couldn't. It was impossible. What the detective did there has a name. It's called deductive reasoning. It's pretty cool. You just take two or more statements you know are true. In this case, the power is out, and the servant said he was cooking, and you see if they can exist together. They couldn't, which led to the only possible conclusion. The servant had to be lying. And you know, that's what separates a good detective from a great one. It's not always about finding the microscopic clue under the floorboards. Sometimes it's just about taking the information everyone has and seeing the logical connection that nobody else does. That power outage, it wasn't just a random event. It was the absolute key to solving the entire case. This whole story is a perfect reminder that sometimes the biggest truths are hidden right in front of our faces, in those little details we tend to just brush aside. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's the one small, obvious detail in your own life that you might be overlooking right now that could change everything? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.